where the magic of cooking and the power of the metaphysical meet. I'm so happy that our paths have crossed today. Today we'll be making oatmeal raisin cookies. So grab your apron, and if your hair is down like mine, tie it back. You do not want any hair in your food to later on end up in someone's spill, do we? For this recipe, you will need 1 cup or 120 grams of flour, a 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, 1½ teaspoons of vanilla, 1 egg, 1 cup of raisins, 1½ cups of rolled oats, and then a whole lot of halves. So, are you ready? 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, a half. Now, a little tip about baking before we get started. A lot of recipes, when they call for butter, it needs to be room temperature. Room temperature butter, room temperature eggs. And if you forgot to lay them out, a little time in the microwave for the butter will help, and putting the egg in a bowl of warm water will also help bring it to room temperature faster. You just don't want that chill as you're trying to combine all these ingredients together. Now you may be wondering, what is the difference between metaphysical cooking and baking and regular cooking and baking? The answer is intention. You are not just cooking to nourish the body. You are doing this to help nourish the soul, to help change things physically. If someone is unhappy, you are hoping to lift their spirits. And when you make something, that should be your intention anyways, unless you're following the left-handed path or somebody has upset you. But today, that is not the day. I remember this one time, I was making a stew, and I come home, I had a really bad day at work. I was chopping some vegetables, and I am just angry and chopping and throwing the vegetables into the pot, and my son stopped and said, "I don't see any love in that pot." And he was right, there was no love in it. So you should always bake or cook with the best of intentions. And as you see, I don't have a cauldron, so my KitchenAid mixer will act as that magical started. So we're going to do this to bring love and happiness and hope, because sometimes people have that hopeless feeling in their lives, and we want to kind of bring that hope back to them. There should always be hope in your life. So let's charge this butter. And bless and charge this butter with love and happiness and a sprinkling of hope. Let there always be light in the darkness. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. All right. So now we are going to get the butter going. What we want is we want to take the butter from, of course, the stick that it is right now, to a light and fluffy texture. So let's try this. So as that starts to break apart, we will start blessing our sugars. So here I have some white sugar. Let's bless and charge that. I bless and charge the sugar to bring the sweetness of happiness and hope into anyone's lives that eat these cookies. May it uplift them, and let them always see the light at the end of the tunnel. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance from my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So many things. All right, so let us just slowly pour that down in there. And give that a minute. And now we're going to stop our cauldron. We're going to use our rubber spatula, aka wand, to scrape down the bowl. Now, if you are sick, if you are in a bad mood, just know that you are adding those things into your mixture. So you don't want to do that. If you have to cook, then by all means cook to nourish the body. But really try not to cook if you're angry, because then it will spread out throughout the family, and then you'll just have a family of angry people for a little while, and nobody wants that. All right, let's get the cauldron going. All right, now while the white sugar and the butter starts mixing, you're gonna break up any hard chunks in this brown sugar. We do not want that. No hard, lumpy chunks in our brown sugar. All right. Oh, there's a big one. Oh, it's like a boulder. All right. Let's bless and charge our brown sugar. And bless and charge this brown sugar to lift the spirit of all those who eat these cookies. May it bring them joy and laughter as they consume, and it nourishes their body. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance from my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and my Lord. So long with me. Alright, let's start to drizzle this in. And then let's give it a minute. As that is, we're going to wipe down our counter. And let's shut off the cauldron again. And we're going to scrape down the bowl. Always scraping down the bowl. Scrape, scrape, scrape. You really want the ingredients to incorporate. All right. So, as that is mixing in, let's bless and charge our egg, our room temperature egg. Now we are going to crack it in this plain bowl. We don't want any shells in these cookies. That would make us very unhappy. All right. Bless and charge this egg so that if the person eating this cookie may be fruitful with laughter and happiness and joy. Call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and my Lord. So mighty. Alright, we're going to slowly drizzle this in. And let the cauldron do its work and start mixing that in. And then what are we going to do? We're going to stop our KitchenAid cauldron. And we're going to scrape down the bowl. Now, if you don't have a KitchenAid, this was a gift from my love. You can easily do the same thing with a hand mixer, or you can do it all with your hand. Now, as you see, I'm going to turn this slowly. If you are doing this by hand or with a hand mixer, as you're doing it, think about that intention. Think about what you want for the people eating this, or for yourself. This doesn't have to be for other people. This could be for you too. So just think about it as you're putting that work in. Let's start the cauldron again. So as we continue through our wet ingredients, incorporating those, we have our 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and let's bless and charge that. I bless and charge this vanilla so it may bring sweetness and uplift the person's soul so that they may see that all things are possible. that there is always hope. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So let it be. Alright, let's incorporate the vanilla. And let's scrape down the bowl one more time. Okay. Now let's move on to our dry ingredients. So we're going to start with 1.5 cups or 120 grams of flour. Now, it is better to weigh this out with a kitchen scale. And I say that because 1 cup of flour will be more than 120 grams. And if you're having issues with any of your baking, that could be the problem. You're putting too much flour into it. So, grab a sifter. And your flour. And let's start sifting some flour. So 120 grams. Always sift, sift, sift. We want that flour to be light and fluffy. We don't want any clumps. Almost there. There. Now, put this away. And let's wipe down our counter. Turn off our cauldron. We are done with our scale, so that can go away too. So let's bless and charge this flour. I bless and charge this flour with the granules of hope that growth will happen in their life to help them through all that they need to get through. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. Now, let's mix in and bless the rest of our dry ingredients. The halves. All right, so let's bless and charge the baking soda. I bless and charge this baking soda to uplift all those who eat these cookies. May it bring them joy and happiness. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. Now, you don't have to use the words that I use. You can use whatever words that are comfortable to you. If you are a Christian or a Christian witch, then you may, instead of the guardians, guides, and ancestors and the blessing of the Lord and Lady, you may use the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. That works too. Whatever is good and feels right for you, that is what you should do. Follow no one else's path, only follow your own. All right, let's bless and charge the salt. Now I am using a kosher salt. If you happen to be using a finer salt, you're going to want to cut that in half. So instead of a half a teaspoon, use a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Unless you had a stick of butter that was salted, then you want to cut that by even more. You want to maybe use just a pinch or 1/8 of salt. All right, so I bless and charge the salt so that it may be grounding in hope and happiness, and let that grow from their feet into the world so that they will always find the light. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. And into the bowl that goes. All right, now the cinnamon. I bless and charge the cinnamon so it may bring spice and love and joy to their lives. Put a smile upon their face. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. And into the bowl it goes. Okay, let's grab a whisk and whisk all these together. We're going to set that aside. Now, on stir, scrape down the bowl. On the stir setting, or the lowest setting if you're using a hand mixer, or folding it in if you're using your own hand. Turn that back on, and let's bless and charge the oats. And bless and charge these oats to bring love, happiness, joy, and laughter. Bring sunshine to their lives so that they will always find hope. Call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance from my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and a blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. And then we're going to slowly sprinkle those in and let them become incorporated. Alright. And now, let's clean our paddle and take it off. Put this in the sink. And let's finish up these cookies. All right, so now let's incorporate the raisins, but first we bless them. I bless and charge these raisins that have been kissed by the sun, so that the person that's eating these cookies will find themselves kissed and blessed by the sun. May they find the warmth on their face and cherish each moment of every day. I call upon the guardians of the north, the south, the east, and the west. I also ask for assistance of my guardians, guides, and ancestors, and the blessing of the Lord and Lady. So mote it be. And in to the cauldron it goes. All right, now let's fold these in. All right. Now, the other dry ingredients, we're going to gently fold these in. Now, you don't want to work the flour too much. You want it to where it's just incorporated, because we're not making bread. We are making cookies. So let's add half of it in and then fold. And let's add the other half in. And fold. Now that we've got that all mixed up, it is time for it to seep. We are going to take some plastic film, lay that out, and take and pour the cookie dough mixture out and onto the plastic wrap. Now, just like if you're making firewall of protection oil or something else, sometimes and most of the time, everything needs to kind of blend together. You get the best taste and flavor and the best work when it has that time to sit together. Now, I normally let my cookies sit in a dough overnight, but a minimum of 1 hour in the refrigerator is all you really need. And that's all we're going to do today. So 1 hour in the fridge, and then we'll be back to bake these up.
Yay!
Welcome back. Our cookies are done steeping in the refrigerator, combining into a whole lot of goodness. We have preheated our oven to 370 degrees. And now we've also lined our cookie sheets with parchment paper because nobody wants to scrub pots and pans. All right, so I have a small cookie dough. This will help me kind of measure it out, keep the cookies about the same size. Put it in there, and I give a little press down. Coffee machine's going off. We press it in, press it down, and there we go. We want to keep the cookies about the same size so that they bake evenly and you don't have some that are more crispier. These all should be chewy cookies. Chewy goodness. And press. Oh, that one's really big. And press. All right. And press. All right. We have one tray that's ready. The first batch is in the oven, 375 for 10 minutes. And with the magic of technology, our cookies are done. And they smell so good. Now let's get them cooling. Ooh, these cookies are ooey gooey delicious. Oh, they smell so good. I wish you were here. But when you make these in your own kitchen, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Give them a chance to cool before you take that bite. We don't want any burned tongues, do we? No, we don't. Look at these beautiful cookies. Oh, now let's have a bite. Chewy, gooey, delicious. I'm so happy our paths crossed today. As you journey on, I wish you well, and may we meet again.